There are three types of player when they hear set 10 is bringing back Chosens. Those who hated set 4 for this reason, those who never played set 4, and those who loved set 4. Just so you know, set 10 will be playable on PB soon after the release of this video, and if you don't know how to access PB, there's a link in the description to create your own PB account on Riot, then you have to download the PB client and then play it. On another note, set 10 will be available globally on November 22nd. So now I talked about the official stuff, let's talk about how set 10 Rumble Remix, which doesn't include Rumble by the way, will be the SOT, meaning the set of all time. The core feature of this set is headliners. It's quite similar to the Chosens from set 4, but there are a few noticeable differences. So first, let's explain how headliners work. Headliners appear in your shop with a glowing image, and you might already have noticed, but these units are 2-starred already, and they cost 3 times more than a normal unit. It kinda makes sense. Headliners are not only already 2-star units when you buy them, but the trait that is highlighted are counted as 2, but they also have additional bonuses that are unique to themselves. So let's say you buy a headliner time catch with the bruiser trait being highlighted. Then he will count as 2 bruisers instead of 1, he will be 2-starred directly, and he will have bonus health thanks to the headliner's bonus. If I take another example, you buy a headliner Caitlyn, she will count as 2 rapid fire or 2 8-bits depending on your headliner of course, and her ability will fire an additional shot because that's her unique headliner bonus. As you can understand, headliners don't get just more stats, they can have different effects, and that's one of the big differences compared to set 4. Since all units have their own unique bonus, the Riot team will have more agency to balance these special units properly. And now you might ask, when do headliners appear in your shop? Well, the shop will always give you a headliner as long as you don't have already one on your bench or on the board. And if you already have one headliner, then you will have one headliner in your shop every 4 shops. And that's another huge difference compared to set 4, because it means you're not forced to sell your headliner in order to find another one that's potentially stronger. The tier of the headliners you can find in your shops depends on your level, just like the normal units. For instance, you can't find a 5-cost headliner if you are not level 9 at least, and you can't find any 4-cost headliner if you are not level 7 at least. But at level 7 you will not have high chance to have a 4-cost headliner, you need to be quite lucky actually. Speaking of levels and odds, let's talk about the next big thing set 10 brings. In my opinion, this is the biggest change for the next set until we completely shift our way of playing the game. If you already read the dev blog, you are aware Riot wasn't satisfied with the overall experience curve and shop odds for 4-cost and 5-cost units. Set 10 will change the pace of our game because it will be overall easier to reach level 8 and level 9, but the odds of finding 4-cost and 5-cost units at these levels are lowered. On the other hand, we will also be able to reach level 10 now with extremely high odds for late game units and late game headliners. With set 10 we can say that Riot decided to wake up and show us that TFT is no longer a minigame from an indie studio. They have done an incredible job on improving the music. I'm pretty sure until now 99.99% of TFT players muted the music because it's simply too repetitive and nothing beats the good old PapaJustify playlist. But in this set, they are beating the drums for changing these stats. They added this feature where the music of the game will change based on the main trait you play. I'm not joking, if you play Disco Champions, then you will have some disco music. If you play the punk trait, then you will have some cool punk music. And to be honest, the transition is quite smooth whenever you transition your board from one trait to another trait, and it doesn't feel like disrupting at all. There's also a character who has its unique music, Jin the Maestro. This unit is so freaking cool and I love the design. He creates some kind of ballistas on your board, and once you have 4 of them, they will start sniping units one by one. Adding this sound feature doesn't change the game or the way we play it, but it makes us feel we are playing an upgraded game compared to what we used to have just before. And I'm sure it will make the game much more attractive to casual players or people who are just discovering TFT. So now let's talk about some noticeable traits and champions. I don't want to make the full list of everything because I think most of you don't want to be spoiled too much. And most of you probably want to discover the traits and the champions by yourself, right? So this is why I'm just going to show some noticeable champions. But basically for the traits we have Pentakill, which grants bonus damage, damage reduction and attack speed on kill. This is really cool to play, you have many ways to play it, I'm not going to spoil how. On the other hand, we also have Heartsteel. I think this one is the new Piltover that is a bit harder to play. To make it short, every 4 PvP fight you will open a box, and the box gives you more reward if you lose the fight just before and kill more units. Obviously, the more hostile units you have, the more rewards you will get as well. And another one that's kinda cool to play is 8-bit, which summons a small arcade box, and the more damage you deal, the more the counter goes up, and at every threshold, your 8-bit units gain more AD. It's kind of a mini game within the game, to be honest. Now, if we talk about the units, I already talked about Jhin, who is by far the most spectacular unit in this set. But we have Yorick, who summons a bunch of ghouls to deal damage. And I think we have another one that's really cool to watch and to play is Sona, who has 3 abilities you can choose between dealing damage, granting shield or granting attack speed. You will notice that Sona doesn't have any AD, but she has an on-hit passive based on the spell you chose just before. So for each attack, she can either grant AP to a unit and herself, heal a unit, or give attack speed to herself and an ally. So now let's give some of my thoughts. My biggest issue with TFT in these past sets is addressed in this set. Let me explain a little bit. During set 8 and set 9.5 especially, it was obvious what comp we would play as stage 2-1, and it was extremely hard to pivot out of that direction. In fact, we were mostly punished if we dared to pivot out of the direction. With the Chosens being back, we will be forced to change our direction and play around what we hit. I've been waiting for this for so long, because I'm a much better player when we need to constantly pivot, adapt, and actually reaching Challenger in set 9.5 was much harder because I had to change my playstyle. I also think we will spend a bit of time before we solve the new leveling curve, and I think we will see many different playstyles popping out. I'm pretty sure Bebe will keep his super aggressive playstyle and Milk will still overly prioritize economy over health, and I just want to see a clash of different playstyles rather than just everyone following the same game plan, and that's boring. I will spend that PBE time preparing in-depth guides such as new leveling strategies and some other stuff to help you have more fun and be more competitive on TFT.